All right. Good evening and good night, and welcome to the ATR Perspective Talk Show. It is Thursday, March 31st, 2016. My name is David, aka Kimba, aka Christian, alongside
Nysut.
Soup. We're back. We just want to say that this is the ATR Perspective Talk Show every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 p.m. until. We do have a telephone number, 340-201-9005. You can also text us on that number as well. But most importantly, go to our website, streaminglivefromthevi.com. Go to that website and click on the tab that says Watch Us Live, and you'll be able to see the show tonight because we do have a special guest in the studio. We also have email, streaminglivefromthevi@yahoo.com. If you're too shy to call or text, you can surely send us an email. It'll pop up right here, and we'll be able to respond to your comment or your question right away. For our guest tonight, we are in the high-tech, low-tech studio, coming to you from an undisclosed location here in St. Croix, Virgin Islands. No radio, no TV, internet only, which means you have to get your Android, your Apple, your tablet, your iPad, your Mac, or your Windows PC. Open up your browser, type in streaming live from the vi.com, and you'll be able to see the show tonight. All our recorded live shows are on YouTube and Ustream.tv. And Soup, we're right up there, close to right around the 300 mark.
Yes, sir.
As we approach our 2-year anniversary coming up next month in April. Just want to say also that we have 2 Facebook pages. I want to give a mad shout out to CHS class of 1982.
Yes, sir.
We're out there everywhere and here, there, and everywhere. Give us a call. Let us know how you're doing. We do have a special, we do have an audience tonight in the studio here. You can't see them, but I think she's representing class of 1983. All right. She said class of 1983 CHS. Big ups to that whole entourage as well. But most importantly, Soup, we want to give a mad shout out to all our past guests, all 300 plus of them. Thanks for being on our show and believing in what we are doing here.
Yes, sir.
We're on Twitter as well. Tweet with us. VI Perspective is how you do that there. We're moving straight forward and up. The show's mission is just to inform, entertain, and empower everyone. And Soup, you ready to bless the mic?
Yes, sir.
Bless that mic, man.
All praises be to the living Jah Rastafari. This is from the testimony of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I, utterance concerning freedom. We must look first to Almighty God, who has raised man above the animals and endowed him with intelligence and reason. We must put our faith in Him that He will not desert us or permit us to destroy humanity that He created in His image. We must look into ourselves, into the depth of our souls. We must become something we have never been, and for which our education and experience and environment have ill prepared us for. We must become bigger than we have been, more courageous, greater in spirit, larger in outlook. We must become members of a new race, overcoming petty prejudice, owing our ultimate allegiance not to nations, but to our fellow men within the human community. Since the beginning of the world, Jah has always granted a people divided through they may be into provinces, districts, villages, and families, the privilege of living together as one nation in freedom. However, because of human jealousy and man's domineering spirit, and because of the greed that impels one to rob another of a part of the world or the whole of his homeland, it has become an essential duty of man to keep ready the means of defending his freedom. Ethiopia, jealous of her freedom, has always had to struggle, both for the sake of her territorial integrity and for the preservation of her religious liberty. The heroism developed in the blood of our people to this day is a bulwark for our freedom, so that Ethiopia has never had to bear the yoke of slavery. To this history and the world bear witness. We have seen from the happenings of history how Jah, in His profound justice, never fails to execute righteous judgment. And for this, our thanksgiving and praises to Him is unbounded. But unfailing as the righteous judgment of Jah in punishing the arrogant has never been, since freedom is an issue upon which national existence itself depends, it becomes a sacred obligation of primary importance for a people of one family united in a common life, in one oneness of mind and in spirit, to preserve their freedom and pleasant way of life from all external danger that thus being able to advance along the path of progress. Give thanks and praise to His Divine Majesty, Emperor Haile Selassie I.
Yes, sir. Sup, thanks for blessing us there.
Yes,
Sup has been
I.
blessing us with the word from His Majesty, and also with the It's Your Perspective poem since April of 2014. Definitely always want to give thanks for that, you know.
Yes,
So as we blaze on here, man, we do have a special guest in the studio, man. Here he is. Wave to the crowd right there. You are streaming out right now. Friends, family, and viewers are seeing you right now, brother. So introduce yourself. Let us know who you are. I don't want to stumble on the name that you have there. But go right ahead.
Renani Sneferu Hotep. My name is Sneferu Hotep.
Okay. Thanks for coming out.
Tawad Mutakhayur. Thank you.
And you're representing the Egyptian Church.
It's Egyptian Church of Karat, Ashuk.
Okay.
Youth and Prison Outreach Ministry.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming out, man. I met you. Back. I guess it was sometime last year. We were doing something at the Department of Labor here on St. Croix, Virgin
That's correct.
Islands. We had an opportunity to meet, and that video is still on our YouTube channel, actually.
It's an hour of code where we were,
Yes.
doing a live stream, in encouraging young people to deal with the sciences and the technology programming.
Okay. Yeah, man. So tonight you're here to talk about what specifically?
We'll talk about the youth program, why we're here, some of why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
And, hopefully we get the people to support what definitely needs to be supported, which is, a change in direction with regards to the development of our youth.
Okay. So before we get started, give us a little history about who you are. You're from St. Croix, and kind of bring us up a little bit here to where we are now.
Well, before I start, I just want to take an opportunity to, reach out and say much thanks, honor, praise is due to Pa Nadaru U Pa Salafu, our overseers, and our ancestors.
Okay.
Without them, none of us would be here. So I want to say that first. And second, I want to say the reason why we're bringing some of the teachings that I've learned throughout the years in my experience with working with youth, in my experience in the Egyptian mystery systems, is because we really need it. We really need it. Just a couple days ago, we had another senseless killing.
Yes.
As a former student, of the high school, elementary school systems here in the Virgin Islands, I felt it was necessary to come back and, as one of our own, bring what I can bring to see what we can do to change the path and direction that our young people are headed on. So I've worked in many areas with regards to adolescent services, and throughout this, show we'll get an opportunity to discuss and talk about some of those.
Okay. So it says here, you sent us a little bio here. You're from Frederiksted, St. Croix?
That's correct.
Okay. And a tribal member of the United Nations of
Wapia.
Wapia? Since its
United Nation of Wapia.
okay. Since its inception, and you were seated by President and head of the state of.
Yeah, the seated president of our nation is Panabab Yanun, known by many as Dr. Malachi Z. Kobina York.
Okay. And you've been doing some, as you said, you're doing some social work with adolescents.
Yeah, I've worked in many different adolescent programs. I actually worked in Boston in an award-winning Regulars Palliative program. Tobacco control, quite a few areas with regards to adolescent services. I work with corrections. Every area that's associated with our youth, I've worked. Okay.
So it says here, expertise in monitoring, guiding, coaching, encouraging youth to achieve their maximum level of independence within the mental health and correctional and inner city arena. Okay. Over 25 years of committed work, accomplishments within social services and grassroots agencies. Does it tie back to Boston?
Boston, also Georgia. You know, I worked at Macon Behavioral Health System. In fact, Macon Behavioral Health System is owned by the same company that runs the behavioral health system here.
Okay.
And I had a supervisory capacity in the what's called a PRTF, or the psychiatric treatment section of that hospital.
Okay.
So, you know, I have a background in dealing with children that were diagnosed with high levels of psychiatric issues.
Okay. 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 What else here? You said Boston, Massachusetts programs to counteract youth-oriented marketing of tobacco industry in New York Times. And what is that all about? In New York Times?
The New York Times article is important because what happened is, as a coordinator of the Project Teach, which is Teens Empowering and Educating for Health, we embarked on an initiative to decrease the amount of access and use that the youth of Massachusetts had with regards to tobacco. We started a program, and the program was so effective it became a national program. It was the Lucy's campaign. We actually created an initiative that caused the legislature in Boston to change laws. And this was done by youth. And because of that experience, I know the power that our young people have with regards to mobilizing change. And that's why, you know, I deal with youth.
Okay. And you're a member of the ancient mystical order of
Melchizedek.
Yeah, those are some of the, you know, organizations that I've participated in. I'm on the ancient mystical order of Melchizedek. Also the AEO, the ancient Egyptian order under the Nuwapian nation. So in those schools, I was able to gain a certain aspect of identity with regards to myself, my inner being, and along with the actual practical work, working in those arenas, as you mentioned, in adolescent services, it afforded me an opportunity to see, you know, what were some of the issues our youth were facing, what were some of the actual techniques that were used to assist those youth, and what techniques worked and what did not work.
Okay.
Hotep, greetings. What would be right now for you would say your most rewarding effort doing this here for so long?
The most, I mean, there's so many different experiences that I could say, but one of them I would say is that at the Regulus Peer Leadership Program, every youth that stayed in our program for 2 years, actually it was less than that, 100% went to college, and most of them went on some type of scholarship.
Yes.
And so, you know, I was able to see, in fact, today I was talking about an experience that I had. I went to the Barrett Center, and it's a center that they have for children who were caught in school with knives, guns, drugs, and it was like an in-school detention. And I remember going there to do a workshop similar to the ones I intend to facilitate here in the island. And there was a young man there that had an issue with me, a serious issue. He wanted to kick my you-know-what. Right. And yeah, I was ready for him to try it also. You know, it got to that point. But anyway, they placed him in a room next to the room I was doing the workshop in. And I switched my entire workshop to focus on him because I know he could hear. And did the workshop. About a year later, I was at a youth program, and you know, there are many of you out there who may be listening, work as teachers, as educators, work within a system that in many ways handcuffs you. And it's rough because you know that you know, practically you're there because you're getting a check. Sure, yes, you know, and you really can't help the youth the way you want to. This should be real. You know, and so I got to the point where I was like, you know, enough of this. I'm done. You know, I'll start my own program. And I got up and went to the receptionist to get my mail. And when I got up to get the mail, I opened it, and one of the letters I got was from that same young man. And he was informing me of, you know, how he's in college and how well he was doing. And in fact, the conversation that we had, or the conversation he heard, made a big impact in his life. And so, of course, I ripped up the resignation letter. Well, actually, I didn't rip it up. It was still in the computer. I just pressed delete.
Yes.
And I continued working for a little bit longer before I end up actually resigning and moving on into my studies in the ancient mystical Melchizedek, in the Holy Tabernacle Ministries, on up to, Nuwapu, which is where we're at right now.
Okay.
So those are some of the things that really impact me in a way to let me know that, hey, listen, you know what, no matter where you come from, no matter the degree of education you have or don't have, if you have a true desire to help young people, they will know. They will know, and they will listen.
Okay, good. So, real quick, so we met, like I said earlier, that we met at the Department of Labor here in St. Croix, and you were doing this hour of code, and that was sort of to get young people interested or involved in actual programming.
Right.
So, talk a little bit about that, because I know that's an area that you're encouraging people to get into, as a technology arena.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that our children are being bombarded by so many different elements, so many different directions. They're being bombarded, and quite frankly, let's just be real. Our children are not being prepared for the next phase in the economic development of the world, not just the Virgin Islands, the world. And so, with the Hour of Code and some of the different initiatives that we participate in, it was an opportunity to expose those young people who may have that interest in technology, to let them know that there is free resources available, at the tip of your fingers. A lot of times, our children spend entirely too much time in front of a computer doing what? Playing games. And later on in this process, we'll talk about some of what happens when we expose ourselves to that degree of thought, and what thought really is, and how it impacts our life in a way where we really got to get this thing figured out, or at least start to utilize the principles that are available to us to figure things out.
Okay, good. And so you left and went away after that?
I went after high school here.
I mean after the hour of labor presentation you did, you left?
Yes, I left for a while. I had to go and make different connections on the mainland,
okay,
to assist in doing this work. We have a location here in the Virgin Islands. It's at 89 Castle Coakley, right next to Thomas Bakery, and in that location, we have a variety of books, with the gamut of subjects related to us and our Salal, our race, our Lahaj, our language. These are, and throughout this process, you're going to hear me use words that you probably haven't heard, but that's a part of the language, Nuapui. Or if you were to go to most people who would go to the scriptures in Genesis before Genesis 10, before the Tower of Babel incident, you will realize that the earth was of one tongue before it was confounded or confused. And so the reference that it makes in that scripture is Napata, and you will find that as you do research in the language, you will see that it's clear that there's been a shift in the language, and it's very important because the person that controls the language controls the way we communicate. And one of the major issues that we're having is communication. We use a language that's really not rooted in our salal, in our spiritual center, and we activate tones that are not to our advantage. And so we'll go into some of those at the bookstore church location. You can come there. We're going to have an after-school setting where parents for free can bring their students. We haven't decided what day yet, where they can come in and they can utilize the resources to get help with regards to some of their schoolwork. And keep in mind that although it's the Egyptian Church of Karat, Ashuk Youth and Prison Ministry, the key words in this statement is Egyptian and Ashuk, the first and the last. You see, and Ashuk is Nuwapui for divine love. And that's the principle that we have to utilize if we are to affect any type of serious change within the hearts and therefore the minds of our young people. We have to deal with ashuk. Ashuk.
Okay. All right. So and then you went away and now you're back, and so let's just kind of get into a little bit about the programs that you. I guess this is one of the programs you just talked about there.
Tua.
Okay. And then you mentioned too the prison. What is
that's a program that we look to initiate, and that's getting into the prison and talking to some of our brothers and sisters that are incarcerated, and providing, what we call in the WAPU sound right reasoning. You'll find, as you know, there's a PowerPoint that we have, and we'll go through some of the 9 principle system, and that principle and those systems are not like minds. They're actually out of the Family Guide of the United Nations, the WAPI, and it's one of those things that's valuable for everyone. So I heard earlier the brother Soup mentioned His Majesty, the illustrious one of our ancestors that was important in codifying or writing down certain speeches that we can actually go back to and seek some level of guidance and wisdom from Haile Selassie. So, myself, growing up in the island, I was a part of the big shout outs to Seventh-day Adventist Church Central, and I was a part of the Pathfinders, and I learned certain things that to this day are valuable, and so all of those things we want to pass back, the valuable things to our youth, so that we could change what's going on. Because when I came back, and I came back just to visit, as you stated, I left, I came back to visit, and when I saw the situation that was happening here with regards to the young people and the amount of violence, I couldn't leave, because I was in Boston in the 90s where it was worse than this, and we made changes there, and we could make changes here. We have powerful people in this island, and the thing that like really drives me is, and we don't talk about it, but there's a lot of mothers that as men we can't even begin to appreciate the pain and suffering that they go through, how deep in their womb they feel, and as a child of Queen Mary, like all of us who are born here, we have to stand up for our mothers, and we have to stand up for our sisters, and we have to do something to change the situation, and that's why I'm here. You all know that this isn't a type of situation where you're gonna, have a whole bunch of money thrown at you, because people don't really invest in the youth for some reason, and we're gonna change that, and we're gonna make sure the youth are able to articulate themselves on a level where they're gonna demand that our legislators, our teachers, anybody that put themselves before one of our youth are gonna get challenged. They're gonna get challenged to teach. If you call yourself a teacher, if you call yourself an educator, then you are going to be challenged. You're not just here to pick up a paycheck. You're here to do something that for a long time, we need to get done. I went through this school system, and I know the amount of misinformation, miseducation I got. I know for a fact that there are certain maps and certain things that I never saw until I came back this time. Certain VI history, and this is the last day of the Virgin Island history, correct?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, yeah.
And so much of our history, we don't make an emphasis and effort to really teach our youth. We allow all kind of different history and information to come in, but the information that our youth really require, because one of the axioms in Tamare is, know thyself, and to thyself be what? True. How can you be true to yourself if you don't know who you are? Marcus Garvey says what? People without what? Knowledge of their what? History is like a tree without
roots.
You see? And we have run so far away from ourselves that our children see us as hypocrites. And this is why they don't listen, because we have that thing that the native people of America used to say about the Mukhasu, forked tongues. We don't give it to them straight. And we're not here to do that in Nuwapu. Nuwapu deals with sound right reasoning. And these children know what sounds right and they know what reasons out. And we're going to make sure we put all of it in front of them so that they can decipher for themselves. Because, you know, when you do close these eyes, and you will, you're going to go before your maker alone. And you better be prepared and know that the information, not believe, know that the information, information that you were given was accurate or not. And so this is what it's about, man. We're not here to play games. We're not here to placate and pacify people's egos. A lot of people suffering, man. You know, I was home 2 evenings ago and I heard some drums playing. And it was in the neighborhood, so something in my being was like, man, you got to go. And I went down to my neighbor's yard thinking that, hey, we're going to get into a little drum session, and realized that they were actually drumming to the ancestors because they had just lost 2 of their sons. How many more sons do we have to lose? How many more children have to come home and their mother or their auntie or their grandmother in most cases have to explain why their father ain't around? How many of those situations, you know? And as I sit here and project out into this, you know, arena, it's not difficult. It really isn't. It deals with Ashuk, divine love and unity. And once we start to align ourselves with that energy, that realization, we'll start to see we become magnetized and we attract certain things to ourselves, you know? And that's what we have to teach our young people, that truly the life and the situation that we have around us, we're attracting it. And we have to take responsibility for what we create. We have to take responsibility for the mess that we made and stop blaming the youth. Talking about, you know, they're killing each other, they this, they that, and the other. Last time I checked, youth never bring no gun in this island. You see? And so, without going in too deep into that, you know, that's kind of where we're at.
The direction you're heading.
Yes.
All right, so you brought a PowerPoint presentation. You want to run through that?
Yeah, let's go through a little bit of that, Satat, please.
Okay. All right, so so what we're going to do here is we're going to bring it up, and there it is right there.
So what?
So this is the first slide. So it's kind of lead me here. And
this slide here is just basically the sign that you will see in front of an establishment. You see the Egyptian Church of Karat, Egypt, or Egyptian. If you notice, it has an I rather than a Y, and that's significant because the I is the 9th letter of the alphabet. 9 being the highest number, the highest principle, and it ties you back into Af, Ra'ay, Ka'u, or Africa. Af, those of, Ra'ay, the sun, Ka'a, spirit. The spirit children of the sun is who we are. Okay. Church is a vehicle that we utilize in this system because ancestrally, one of the only places that we could actually come together and learn about ourselves was in church. And it provides a certain shelter and a certain protection. The master, Nababi Adnun, he taught us, I came giving you what you want so you could learn to want what I have to give. And so we come giving St. Croix what they want so they could learn what we have to give. Karash is another name, or the Egyptian for anointed. It really means alligator fat because that's what they use as an oil to anoint. All right? And when you go to the New Testament, you will see where Simon was talking about this is the man, the Messiah, that is being interpreted to Christ. You see, so when you deal with the aspect of the church, which we will go into because many people require that type of assistance, you will see that we will use Karash or Messiah rather than Christos, because Christos or Kurios ties you into the Greeks, and we are not Greek. We are not Romans. All right, we are Africans, and so we link into Africa. And as you see, Ashuk with that inverted upside down, what you call star with the Ankhtui and the color purple. You know, these are all specific. They deal with energy. Ashuk, divine love. Divine love is the love that you would say that the ancestors or those who don't deal with the flesh and the weakness of the flesh have for us. All right? And that's what we intend to have for each other. It says in the scriptures in Psalms 82 verse 6 that ye are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. And for some reason we skip over that because of the responsibility associated with being God. And so the youth is crucial, because in the scriptures it says that in Acts 2:27 it says that in the last days I shall pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your youth, your daughters and your sons will prophesy. They will have visions, while the old men, and of course I'm paraphrasing, will have dreams. This ties into once a man, twice a child. And when we start to deal with the process, the Egyptian axioms, and you realize that those statements are dealing with thought. The way a child thinks is a plastic stage. You can actually change it. And the way an old person thinks is more what? You set in your ways. And because you set in your ways, they say you can't teach a old dog new tricks. All right? But a child who has not lost that innocence can still be taught, because they're at that plastic stage. All right, so that's why we set out to do the ministries the way we have them. The essence of the Netiru, or Nadaru, we call on the Nadaru to break the spell by way of these facts. Order, Ma'at. It's important that we realize that, there is a guiding principle, a force that we came from. In school, all of us were taught that energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be trapped, channeled, or transformed. And so, what happens to our loved ones? What happened to those who are close to us when they're no longer with us? We're not being taught certain things so that we can link in with these beings who actually become what they would call our guardian angels, they say. Angels take you back to angelos, which is messenger. This is Greek. All right? And the lahaj, the language that we speak, is basically part of the reason why we're out of order. So we ask for the spell of Leviathan if you're dealing with, the scriptures. Kingu if you're dealing with Sumer. Am if you're dealing with Tamare. We ask for that spell of spiritual blindness and racial ignorance to be broken by way of facts, not belief, not faith, facts, ma'at, order. Why youth and prison ministry? As I said earlier, Acts 2:27, and it shall come to pass that in the last days, saith God, I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. And your young men shall see vision, and your old men shall have dreams. No disrespect to anyone in the offices that run our island here, but all of you are old. And it's time for us to get that ask young people, man, don't ask them what you want to do when you grow up. Ask them what would you do to change what's going on right now, and see what they say. This poem is from the book, and I encourage every parent to seek this out. It's a book called The Prophet. In fact, the students that graduated from the program that I was in, I would give them each a copy of this. And in it, there is a poem, and I would want to read that poem to you. It says, On Children by Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are sons and daughters of life longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their soul. For their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backwards nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bow from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go straight and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. This poem is important because it speaks to some of the misperception with regards to the relationship between parents and their children. Our 9-dimensional program, Agal Magas Un, a sound mind, Nazof Ba'a, a clean soul, Kahin, Kaha, a holy spirit, Khafish Wa'alai, a clear conscience, Karim Ab, a caring heart, Karim Shakhas, an honest heart, a caring person, Karim Shakhsalti, an honest personality, Mahwid Mukhwan, a loyal being, Wu Nakhibd Un Khat'a Jawif Majus Un Mahat, a healthy body in a sound environment. As you go through the 9 principles, and as we discuss and deal with the 9 principles and dealing with our youth, you will see that who amongst us would not benefit from a sound mind. And what is a sound mind? What does it relate? It's let you know that what we're dealing with sound, frequency, vibration. The body is an instrument, a tool, which when precisely attuned can lead to not mediocrity, but actual magnificence. And so you have a clean soul, a holy spirit, a clear conscience, an honest heart, a caring personality, an honest personality, a loyal being, a healthy body in a sound environment. All of these principles are necessary for a sound community. We need beings that realize what it means to have a clean soul, what it means to have a Holy Spirit, not based upon what somebody else describes, but what is spiritus? What is that? A clear conscience. How do we get to a state where we have a clear conscience? What does it feel like to have an honest heart? Do you think if our young men and our young women had honest hearts, you think that we would have the degree of violence that we have out here? A caring personality. What does that look like? There was a time here where you could walk up Center Line Road and say east, west, boom, and you know what happened.
Catching a ride, right?
Of course. Somebody picked you up, but now I drive down because I grew up in Williams Light, so I drive down that hot road down there and I see some elders, some women, some different, and I stop and I need to write down, and they look at me, and you can tell if I'm not wearing my crown or wanor, if I'm not wearing that, it's like they're scared. Our own mothers scared of us. Our own family scared. They would rather walk. Man, good exercise, no problem. But there's some of us who for a long time have been able to sense, the hurt, the fear in our people. In the islands they call it the sensitive little girl. But hey, the sensitivity is a thing that we're going to go into. A lot of us have it. And we're going to learn how to utilize it for the benefit of our people. An honest personality. Listen, we got a lot of conflicts that's happening right now. Why? Because the personalities are not honest. We're just not honest. We're not straight up. There's always an ulterior motive, right? Loyal being. Loyal being. I mean, who amongst us would not benefit or enjoy being in a relationship, in a family, where you have beings that are loyal to you? Who amongst us would not want our administrators and our legislators to be loyal, not just to the special interests of those who line pockets? I told you I'm here for the children. I do not care or have any, issues with regards to speaking fact. Most of the time you say truth, but truth is relative. Because there was one time where in our story that it was true that Christopher Columbus discovered, America, or even came here in South River in 1492. That's not a discovery. Okay? Words again, it's an uncovery. You're uncovering things. There are people already here. You see, and right now, loyalty is something that we have to nurture within our families again. We have to nurture within our communities. All right, we have to have people that's going to role model that. Okay, and the last one, a healthy body in a sound environment. Listen, without a healthy khat or body, remember we're going back to a sound mind, right? So without a healthy khat or body, how can you truly have a sound mind? How can that sound, dealing with music, that tone, frequency, and vibration truly be aligned? We don't even know how to eat properly. Why? Because the people that feed us are more concerned about the amount of resources, money, capital, currency they can extract from us. And so most of the time we continue to perpetuate poison in our children, and we wonder. Remember I said earlier that I worked in a psychiatric residential treatment facility, so I got to see the effects of specific diets, or dietary habits rather, on the youth. And not to mention I have children also, and I got to see how certain things affect our children and the way they think. So in order for us to have a healthy body and a sound environment, we have to take control of what we're putting in our mouth. We have to stop digging our graves with our forks. And we have to really go back into Natharu or nature. We have to actually encourage the young people to interact with the farmers once again. An aspect of what we're going to develop is something called pharmacy. And not pharmacy from the pharmaceutical perspective, but the farmers and the fishermen. Having the young people interact with those individuals so that we can actually address the ecological systems and situations that we're having that the adults were supposed to address. The adults were supposed to make sure that we have clean air and clean water, and that no one would infringe upon our, as you would say, God-given right to live in an environment that's not polluted. I remember this place before Hugo, before, how many of y'all remember the Hurricane David? You remember that? You remember Frederick? See, so I know you could tell stories, but one of the stories that you'll never be able to tell is this. As a child, I never remembered hearing anybody say after Hurricane David, Hurricane Frederick, Hugo, I never remember anybody saying, excuse me, but wait, what church you went to last night? No, nobody cared about that. No, don't come and help me fix my situation because you were smoking a joint earlier. We didn't hear that. Oh, you're 7 days, or don't help me. It was none of that. It's too much of the separation that we have, and our children can't even talk to each other because one person goes to church on Sunday and one goes to church on Saturday. One is a Rasta, one is a bald head. Whichever way that we separate ourselves. And at the really core of it, what's the separation? Words. Words. Sticks and stones, they say, break your bones, but words don't do. That's a lie. How many people get killed probably this week because somebody said, oh, he said something to me fresh or whatever. That was words. All right? So we have to take responsibility for what it means to have a healthy body in a sound environment, because we're losing a lot of our elders that have information to pass on because we don't understand that the beings that we're up against don't play fair. And we have to stop lying to our children. So if you really want to find out some of what's being addressed in those scriptures, not just in the English, but back in the language, the hajj of the scriptures, you see, because you can't come to us as your children and speak to us anymore about any of those things if you don't speak the language. If you call yourself a Muslim, one who follows the Muhammad, then you better know how to speak Arabic. Or else I can't allow my son to go on and say he going, like sit up under you because you really don't know what you're talking about. If you say that you're from the Hebraic faith and you don't know Hebrew, then why am I going to allow my children to be taught? Now, mathematics, sciences, but when you're dealing with the soul, it's not a game. All right? So a healthy body in a sound environment is the 9th principle. And that's what we want to have around it. We want to have a situation where our children are not morbidly obese. You know about the situation with diabetes. When we were young, you didn't have these different diabetes, type 1, type 2, you didn't have that. You didn't have that impact in our youth. We used to play. We used to go outside. But now, we put our children behind a television. I think Midnight, I wrote this song back in 95. He talked about, how Nintendo was teaching Aki Becker, he was teaching the youth how to decapitate men. You see, and you wonder why it's so easy for them to pull a trigger. When you start to understand how thought interfaces with the brain, you realize how easy it is. And you will realize how often we program our children to do exactly what they're doing and we don't take responsibility for it. We blame it on everybody else. We blame it on the sister, we blame it on the white man or whoever else, the boogeyman. All right? So with these 9 guiding principles, we, with the guidance of our Salafu, known, or our ancestors, Patarak, the way, Ashuk, divine love, and the creative force, Hu, will establish opportunities for healing. Health, our wealth, togetherness, and being of service to each other, our joy. Patarak, the way. Impacting our youth now and then, that's just a couple examples of some stuff that we've done since here, and going back to that campaign, the No But campaign, that was a national campaign. Most of y'all saw those, you saw those young people, teenagers that were going into the tobacco companies. They was on TV all over, and they were asking certain questions that, we started that. And we can do things like that here. I had one of the young men, matter of fact, that guy right there, I know he's probably listening. He don't have that much here now, but that young man right there is an administrator in Boston right now. And he was one of them that said, man, you know what? We were hood celebrities. And I listened to him, and I never thought about it, but we actually had the media trucks and trailers from Hollywood come into the inner city and film these commercials. And these children had never had anything like that. And a lot of them went on to do major things. Why? They were given an opportunity to step outside the box that everybody wanted to keep them trapped in. All right? Your children are not your children. They are sons and daughters of life longing for themselves. They come through you but not from you. All right? And we have to understand this. That's just some pictures of artwork and Wunuwap, the nation of Nuwapia that I gather my teachings from. Background right there, you're gonna see on the bottom, that's Tamare Owahani, the Golden City, Egypt of the West. You know, I actually helped build that.
Where is this?
This was, and you said is, but this was in Georgia. It was destroyed by Mukasu, and it was a center where people of all faith could come on our tribal land and participate in rites and rituals, lying and linked to our ancestors. The top page is a picture, is an example of the many scrolls that we have authored by Nababi Anun, who we know as the master of heaven and earth. Again, more of the scrolls and Meyatat that we have associated with the teachings. We open Monday to Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. There's a chant daily of Nuwapuyi at 3 p.m. Children's stories will have from 12 to 1. And of course, on Saturday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. there's a question and answer class. And it's crucial because we've had them all over. I've done them in Boston at Northeastern University, where we had people from all walks come in. And just, you know, in a Ashuk, remember, divine love, ask your questions so that we can allow for our Salafu to assist in bringing the type of deliverance that we so require in this day and time. You know, I would be like remiss if I didn't give like some thanks. And you know, when you give thanks, you're gonna always miss out. I want to thank again the Salah for our ancestors, Nazaru, our overseers. I want to thank the brothers over at our Daily Bread, the family of Thomas Bakery, who you know, who created that nice location that we're at. There's a youth program over in Mumbiju, Young, Gifted, and Talented Forever. You know, I want to big them up because they're doing some powerful things down here. And there are other ones too, you know, that we're going to interact with. And the next time, hopefully, we get a chance to come on here again.
Yes, sir. And,
you know, and have more examples of the networking and more success stories. But I also want to thank the New York bookstore and encourage people to go to woonawap.com and go through the archives of information and books and updates that you can find there. So you like Partner Bob always said, don't believe me, check it out. And last but not least, man, I really want to give some thanks to the schools that allow me to come in and interact with the youth, to read the Patrak. And one of them in specific is the CJM homeschooling service out up by Mountain Gas Station. They got a powerful thing they're doing with the young people, and it's good that they have other men and women who want to interact with the young people to come in and actually do things that the young people enjoy, man. And it's good to, you know, I was reading a Patrak to them, and you know, it had information in it that it's challenging to us who deal with belief so much. And so I didn't want to read so much, you know, and I just wanted to read a little bit to speak, to pique the conversation. And I stopped, and the youth, I was like, no, keep on reading, man. We want to hear more. I was like, wow, they want this thing, you know. So the problem, as it has always been, it's not the young people, it's the adults, you know, the gatekeepers. These people who, for some reason, they're not doing the job, but they don't want nobody else to do it. And enough for that, man. If you're not going, you know, help, then get out the way. All right, because believe it or not, you're hurting, and there's a lot of people that's going to end up suffering. Why? Because people who have a delegated obligation and operate under some ambient of authority need to really, really take serious their oaths and their pledges to protect, to serve, to honor, and to respect the citizens and the children of the Virgin Islands, of this planet. Since we're here in St. Croix, and we're sending a message that's going to be on the internet for many to see for years to come, we want to say this is a global thing. No one wins the race in racism. It's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice, you know. And we used to have an environment here where, you know, people used to, I mean, I would hear it when I went to college, you know, they would talk about the Virgin Islands and the experience. Now, well, we have to make changes, and you all know.
Yes, sir.
Right.
All right, my brother. That was well said, to say the least. It's about 9:12 p.m. on March 31st, 2016. I guess we're going to have a part 2, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, we definitely have a part 2. You know, this was more one of those things where it was kind of like an introduction.
Intro, yes,
Yes.
You know, some of the principles and some of the actual axioms that are so necessary, we didn't get an opportunity to go in.
Okay.
But let me just, if we have time, just lay something out real simple.
Okay.
What is thought? And how important it is. When we think, there's electrical stimuli that hits the synapses of our brain. And it's registered as a chemical, a liquid. You see, this is why when your children have too much stimuli or too much, those synapses going off, too much of the chemical being released, they give them what? Drugs.
To slow them down.
Right, they give them chemicals
Disorders.
to bring some type of balance back into the system. Understand now that these imbalances were triggered by what? Thoughts. So something that's not physical, unseen, but has an impact on the physical, on the scene. And so let me share a little example of how powerful these habits can be and how subtle they form. Ask the panel here, all right? When you were little and your guardian, your parent was teaching you how to brush your teeth, y'all remember that?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You all remember the time when they asked you brush your teeth? And what you say?
Yes.
And they checked the toothbrush and what they found out?
You're dry.
It was dry.
It was dry, right? You remember that, right? Now let me ask you, do you remember the moment when nobody had to remind you to brush your teeth again? That's what always happened.
No,
Silence.
silence.
Because that habit formed because of the repetition action.
Yeah, 21 days.
That's all. That's why they tell you, hey, listen, take this product home, try it for 21 days, 30 days. If you don't like it, return it.
Yep.
Psychology. When I was at UMass, that's what I studied. You know, along with playing basketball, and it afforded me an opportunity to work with young people, because when you go into school as a student athlete, they force you to interact and to give back in that way. And it was easy for me because I learned it in the Pathfinders. I learned it through the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I learned it because it's a part of who I am. You know, and so hopefully next time we get opportunity to talk here in this setting, or if you see me, you know, out with my wanur, my crown, you know, say rahubat, greetings, you know, ashuk, divine love, just come up, heal me up, you know, if you have a program, you know, some kind of a class that you want us to come and do a workshop presentation, please come by the store. You know, a lot of what we're doing is face-to-face. All this phone, email, that's great, but come over. Ask how we can help, you know, and tell us how you want us to help, because that's what we're here for. I am Sneferu Hotep, a tribal member of the United Nuwaubian Nation, or the United Nation Nuwapia, and I hopefully will get opportunity to teach more people what that's about, because since I've been here, I noticed that there's a movement where people in the Virgin Islands are deciding that, hey, you know what? Somebody trying to pull the wool over on us. And we were here when certain documents were signed and we had no say. And we are being governed when we actually know how to govern ourselves. All right? So, for the youth that have been so valuable in assisting me while I've been here, in fact, this flute right here, I play it a lot of times when I go see the youth. And one day I was on a bus, and I left it on the bus. And the beautiful thing happened, because after I left it, it was like the ancestor spoke to me and said, don't worry about it. It'll be returned. It was returned in a day by one of the students. The bus driver said, that's yours? He said, no, but I know who it belonged to.
Yes,
and he
sir.
brought it back. All right, so.
Well, hold that flute. We're gonna let you kind of close with a few mystical vibes from that. But Soup, let me ask you, any final words, Soup?
Again, Hotep, great to meet the eye, and hope to continue that we could work together. Rastafari lives, one perfect love.
Every time.
Yeah, and we like to say one perfect love is our prayers and his blessings. When you put it all together, you get one perfect love. So we'll let him close out with some tunes on the flute. Take it away, man. Thank you, my brother.
Tawahad Muthakhayur Yasar. Thank you very much, family.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.